It sounds totally impossible. A man drives nearly 14 miles, walks into his in-laws' home, brutally attacking them, killing one and nearly killing the other. He then turns himself in. Not out of guilt, but because he didn't know he'd done it, because he says he was asleep. This is the astonishing case of Kenneth Parks, the man who killed while sleepwalking. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. My name's Cashel. Welcome back to my channel. Every week I try my absolute best to try and teach you about a true crime case that hopefully you have never heard of. Trigger warnings for today's case include graphic violence, which I probably should include in all of them, and psychological themes. Content warning, as always, strong language. Kenneth James Parks was born on May 4th, 1964 in Canada. He grew up in a very stable, loving home and was known to be quite shy and gentle. As a teenager, he was normal, he was well liked, he showed no signs of violence or instability or anything that would raise alarm bells in the future. By his early 20s, he was living a very ordinary life. He was married, had a young daughter, and worked as a project coordinator at an electrical company. So fairly normal. But of course, things are never quite as simple as they seem, and as soon as you start to dig a little bit, you start to unravel. Kenneth had developed quite a serious gambling addiction, an addiction that had started to spiral out of control. And as desperate people do, they start looking for ways to get around things, and especially with addictions like this, you just start looking for how you can get the money to carry on. So Kenneth started embezzling from work, and he started to forge checks to fund his habit. Of course, he was eventually caught, and when he was caught, he was let go, and he was so ashamed of what he'd done. He was ashamed and embarrassed of what he'd done, the situation he'd got himself into, and that his addiction had kind of got that bad. Because of this shame and kind of stigma around gambling addictions and things like this, he was terrified to tell his wife what he'd done, and he was terrified to tell her that he'd got fired from work. So he didn't. He tried to keep it a secret and tried to keep the family afloat without her suspecting anything. But of course, no one's now paying the bills, so the debt is just mounting and mounting and mounting. And so is Kenneth's stress levels. He of course has debt coming out of his eyeballs, and he doesn't know if he's going to be criminally charged for what he did at work. So he found himself under an unbearable amount of stress. Kenneth had a very good and close relationship with his wife's parents, Barbara and Dennis Wood, and he'd planned to go and see them the following day to kind of confess everything that had happened. He trusted them and obviously needed their help. So he planned to go and speak to them about everything that had gone on and kind of try and construct a plan together to get him out of this mess. But unfortunately, he never got a chance to do that. Now, I'm going to be telling this from Kenneth's account because obviously with things like this, we kind of need to go off one person's account for now. So we're going to be talking the way that Kenneth kind of remembers the evening. It was 23rd of May. It was a Saturday in 1987. Kenneth said to police that he fell asleep on the couch watching TV, and the next thing he knows, he's woken up, standing in a police station, covered in blood, saying, "I think I've killed someone, look at my hands." He didn't know where he was, what time it was, what he'd done, but the crime that he'd just committed was already unravelling 14 miles away in Toronto. At around 4:30 a.m, Kenneth had got into his car and driven 14 miles across the city to go to his in-laws' house. He had a key to get in, so he just let himself in with this key. And of course, it's 4:30 in the morning, so Dennis and Barbara are both asleep in bed. He first attacked his mother-in-law with a tire iron and essentially bludgeoned her to death. He then turned on his father-in-law and thankfully unsuccessfully tried to choke him to death. Barbara Woods died at the scene. She was just far too badly injured to make it to the hospital. Dennis was severely injured but did survive and would later go on to testify about what happened that evening. Kenneth, of course, left the scene of the crime he just committed and drove straight to the police station, and he is still covered in blood. Officers, of course, immediately detained him because there's a man stood there covered in blood. It must have been quite a sight. And they noted that he seemed very dazed and confused and genuinely believed that he did not know what he had done, despite the fact he had blood dripping from his hands. So he said, "I think I just killed 2 people. My first question to that is, how do you know it's 2? Where did you get that number from? How do you know if you're asleep, how do you know it's 2? So, according to multiple sleep specialists, Kenneth had a long-standing issue with parasomnias. So, generally, the symptoms for this include like talking, walking, and eating whilst you're unconscious. I've done that. I can't have food in my room because I will eat it in the middle of the night. And of course, with the building and immense stress that Kenneth had been under recently, they thought it was likely that kind of the perfect conditions to trigger an episode like this, like a sleepwalking episode like this. I've done a sleepwalking case before, and I just find it so hard to believe that you can do things like that. Like, I just think it's so unlikely. So, of course, multiple studies were conducted on Kenneth, like ECG scans, sleep studies, and psychological evaluations to kind of check if he is lying. There was no signs of any psychological issues, like any mental illnesses that he wasn't aware of, well, any at all. But there was evidence of deep stage sleep dysfunction. So Kenneth had quite a lot of injuries on his hands. He had severe tendon damage and gashes to his hands. He suggested he'd felt no pain during the attack, which would suggest that he was asleep for it. But I just don't see how that's possible. I know this is just my opinion, but I just don't understand how this would not wake you up if you are severely injuring yourself, how you could not wake up. And also, driving for 14 miles while asleep is crazy to me. That's just nuts. That's what would be no, it's not sleep. Of course, Kenneth was interviewed multiple times, but his story always stayed completely consistent. So the trial took place in 1988 and of course was a media sensation because it was the first, I believe it was kind of like the first of its kind in modern world anyway. Because there are a lot more retro cases of this being used as a defence. Yeah, this was a media sensation. Everyone was fascinated. Like, everyone was really split on opinion, which I'm sure you will be watching this, whether you can kill someone in your sleep. The Crown painted Kenneth as a desperate man, and his motive was that he was about to be exposed for being in serious debt, for lying, for stealing from work, for his gambling issues. He was about to be exposed for all of these things. So this was his motive. But the defence contended, it went more into the kind of like science side of the sleepwalking. And they also noted that the fact that Kenneth immediately went and handed himself in proves that he was not aware of what he had done. His lawyer simply described it. He fell into a deep sleep and woke up into a nightmare. So it took the jury 9 hours to come up with a verdict. And the verdict they gave was not guilty of murder or of attempted murder. So he was completely found not guilty of both crimes. I don't know if you can actually watch the trial. If you can, I'd love to see it. Because I'd love to know all the evidence that was kind of brought in, and then after watching the trial I'd like to know what my final verdict would be. I'd love to know people's opinions on this. Do you think this is possible? I know that his wife obviously just killed her parent and tried to kill the other one. She stood by him, she totally believed him, and he had a lot of support from family and friends. No one really believed that he was capable of doing this, which maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was actually found not guilty in the right way. But the public was totally stunned how you could kill someone and just walk free, because even if he's done it without knowing, how can you still kill someone and not get any time? So at the moment, around 10% of the UK suffer from night terrors, and around 40% of people will suffer with some issues of sleep within their life. So was this justice, or was this just a massive legal loophole? People were very split, and the debate just completely swept across Canada. It was all Canadians were speaking about. The verdict was appealed, and the case actually went to the Supreme Court in 92, I believe. But again, the ruling still stood. They stood with the not guilty. So Kenneth Parks had committed a violent act, but the law determined he hadn't done so with criminal intent. It was a rare and controversial ruling of non-insane automism, condition that absolves someone of guilt if they act involuntary without consciousness. The decision set a legal pretense and became a landmark in Canadian criminal law. After the trial, Kenneth tried to go on and live a relatively normal life. He sought help for his sleep disorder and tried to just stay out of the spotlight. He returned to a normal life and went on to have 6 kids. Jesus. At one point he ran for a school trustee, which I'm not really sure what that means, but but it was faced with backlash. People weren't happy with it, so he's stayed quiet ever since that. His surviving victim, his father-in-law, Dennis Woods, forgave him for what he did. He believed truly that Kenneth never meant to hurt them and that he didn't know what he was doing. He said that Barbara's death was a tragic accident from a medical condition that no one could have predicted, which I do get that, but he's a better man than I, because I can't let things go. Not everyone agreed with everything, really. Not everyone agreed with it. Many still struggle to reconcile from the idea of such a heinous crime and there's no kind of accountability for it. Kenneth Parks' case remains one of the most baffling and divisive cases in history. A man who loved his in-laws killed one of them and tried to kill the other in his sleep, and the court believed him and he was set free. And that's the question I'll leave you with today, is do you think someone can kill someone in their sleep? And if they do you think they should be completely not held accountable for it? And that is the end of today's case. I didn't go too deep into that one because I thought if I go too deep into this, it's going to be hours long and no one wants to listen to me for hours. So I kind of just did the basics on it. I do have another sleepwalking case that I went more into on that one, and that guy definitely did it. I'm slightly undecided on Kenneth. I lean more biasly to he did do it because of the other case, the Scott Folter case. But yeah, go watch that one. That one is a good video, if I do say so myself. I don't think I have any housekeeping for today. No, how boring is that? You know what I was thinking? This is my thought of the day. I had this thought the other day. Why don't men wear eyeliner anymore? It's just young blood. What happened to that? Why aren't more men wearing eyeliner? Can we bring that back into fashion, please? Because I miss it. Men look better in eyeliner. They just do. If you're one that doesn't, that's on you. But I think men should start wearing eyeliner again. That's my thought of the day. I don't have anything else to add. I'll be back next week. Not sure who with. But yeah, make good choices. I used to have really good sign-offs and I just don't anymore. My mind goes totally blank. Make good choices. Stay spooky, not stupid. Love you, bye. I have no idea when I got this. I don't remember buying it. I hate this arm. I hate it so much. Graphic violence, which I probably should include in all of them. In-law, by his as a product. Kenny. Don't think we're on first name terms like that. Kenneth wife is Matt. Jesus. Many still struggle. Why don't men wear eyeliner anymore? It's just young blood. What happened to that? Why aren't more men wearing eyeliner? Can we bring that back into fashion, please?